Hello, this is the Mom 2 Centrist, and I finally got my name correctly. Today's video is going to be about who is right versus Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter. And I've seen a few comparisons I would like to bring up in this video of why some of the comparisons are completely bad. And one of them is a house is on fire in the neighborhood, and the firefighters come and put the fire out. But people are like, what about everybody's houses? This is only in the situation that it's in. But in the reality of it, if you talk about police brutality, it affects everybody. So everybody's house would be on fire. Just that particular house would be more severe, if that makes sense, because it's supposed to be marginalized and stuff like that. And if you say all lives matter, you're marginalized blacks or minorities. Usually it's black people. So for some odd reason, even though if they included Native Americans in these statistics, then they would probably lead in every single category based on the population size, and that's probably why you shouldn't base your statistics on population size, because I notice a lot of statistics don't include Native Americans, and that's either it's so low that they can't track it, or they don't include it because it would really hurt the narrative of Native Americans would lead in every single one of these categories of police brutality listed that they have a grievance with. So that's very interesting. As I found out, like, yeah, that makes sense why they don't include those kind of statistics. And once you learn how to know, like, how the statistics work and how they do it, you kind of get a broader sense of, what Black Lives Matter is about. And to me, if I were to pick a right side or a wrong side, I'd say All Lives Matter is more, I guess, more in the right, if you want to say that, than Black Lives Matter. And this is why I say this is I think Black Lives Matter is going a little bit overboard with the protests in the streets, burning down buildings, how they're destroying their own communities. So there's a lot of black business owners that are getting destroyed by this, and that doesn't seem like something that you would want to do. And they're destroying Confederate statues and just statues in general that have to even have the slightest connection to slavery, which solves nothing. I don't get why the purpose of it is, at least now, it's getting out of control. Even Mount Rushmore is at danger, I guess. I don't think there's anyone that could actually destroy it or deface it because it's on a big ass fucking mountain. So you don't really have to worry about that. I don't think they're going to remove it either. That'd be quite the task to do. But I see this, and I think the news is at a lot of fault for fanning the flames and setting a divide with clickbait articles about white person does this, but versus a black person. Most notably, a white woman pulled a gun on a black person in a Chipotle, I guess, parking lot. And if you see the whole video, they actually threatened to beat this woman up, and they're trying to leave and the woman blocks her way from leaving, and then she gets out the gun and like, back the fuck up, we're just trying to leave. And once it just seems like people have a knee-jerk reaction to certain clips. They don't care about the full context of things, and once you learn that, and just the news stations run with this, and you're like, oh, this woman's so bad, and she even got charged with assault, which I don't think she'll get convicted of him, especially when the whole video came out. I was like, yeah, they're probably going to drop those charges and maybe have charges for the black one, but I don't think that's going to happen either, because that would look really bad on them. And admittedly, there's some really bad cops in there. There's like really bad people out there. Just like there's bad cops, there's just bad people. There's people in general who are bad, and that's going to carry over in our to police forces. I think there needs to be a higher standard there. I actually 100% are behind some kind of reform, if that is even possible. I would like to see all body cams on every single police officer, that they can't turn it off and available to the public after a certain amount of time. Of course, I think some, body camera footage has to be withheld within a certain amount of time because they have to do investigations and stuff like that. Maybe like the more profile when it involves a death, there might be like a month of withheld or whatever because they have to have evidence, and sometimes, uh, you know, certain details have to be left out to, ensure someone gets convicted, wrongly. Not really wrongly, but they don't convict a person wrongly, or they have certain details that need to be left out to the public until they get enough evidence to try somebody, stuff like that. They might taint, certain the evidence, and someone might go free if they do it right away. But other than them small circumstances, then they should be 100% available to the public to view at all times. I think this would really change a lot of uh, bad cops. And, you know, I've seen people, cops plant drugs and they think their camera's off and they just plant drugs and shit like that. And people need to be held accountable, never to work for a police officer, police force again. Now, I know a lot of these police officers get fired or whatever, and they just go to the next precinct and get hired. It's pretty much that easy, and that shouldn't happen. But back onto the subject of who's right, who's wrong. You kind of see both sides. I try to 100% look on, the left side, the right side. I always try to keep myself even. So I at least get both sides of the story. Then I can come to my own conclusions. I think everyone should do this. Even if you're heavily left leaning, you should check out some of the right. If you're heavily right leaning, you should check out some of the left. But that's up to the individual. This is something I just do personally. So I'm pretty much 100% centrist. So maybe I'll do a video why. But it just seems all lives matter is more in the right. I don't see how you marginalize anybody by saying this. And if you're marginalizing any race, it would be Native Americans by far. That's why I don't get about these movements. All lives matter seems to be more equal throughout. I'll give them that. A Native American's life is not, less important or more important than a white life, or a black life. So that seems to be more into where I'm leaning into. At least I don't really like the whole group thing. I don't like either of these kind of group moments or movements. But if I were to choose a side, I would definitely choose more of the All Lives Matter. I don't like any of them, to be perfectly honest, but I would say everybody lives matter. There we go. I know that's a little bit semantics and stuff like that, but that seems more individual of saying everybody lives matters or everybody matters. I don't see anything wrong with that, but there is definitely a lot of racial tensions going on right now. A lot, mainly because I think the mainstream media is doing a lot of that, and separate, doing divides and shit like that. But I would like to hear what you guys have to say. Where you stand? If it's okay if you stand with Black Lives Matter. You don't believe in all lives matter, and it's okay if you want. I don't get why people get wrapped up in the identity politics. It's like if you say all lives matter, you're just a terrible person. You have to say Black Lives Matter, or else you're just a racist, and I don't like that position. It's okay to believe in both sides, and like, okay, something needs to change, but destruction and rioting isn't the answer. So what is? I think we all have to take a hard look at that and maybe say, hey, this is wrong. Let's do this instead. But maybe I'm wrong. I'd like to hear it. Comment where you stand, if I'm right or wrong. Think this thing, right, and comment, subscribe.